the Quilting Book threads. You might notice I'm in a different spot. I'm not in my sewing studio. That's because I'm in my store. But we're talking thread. So there are small spools, large spools, straight wound spools, cross wound spools, and then there's a whole bunch of different styles of the cross wound as well. So when I say cross wound, see if we can zoom in on this, I mean that you will literally see the thread crisscross on the spool versus a straight wound spool. There's also different types of thread. We have cottons, polyesters, and cottonized polyester, which is a polyester that's meant to look like cotton. In general, with quilting, you want to use a 50 to 80 weight cotton. But sometimes when you're piecing, you'll want a polyester for extra strength. Now, I was taught, much like when you watch my Wine and Whip videos, what goes together grows together, you should always pair your fiber to your thread. So if you're sewing with cotton fibers, you want to sew with cotton thread. If you're sewing with polyester fibers, sew with polyester thread. And that's the rule that I've stuck to. If there's any truth to it, I don't know, but that's what I've stuck to. There's also specialty threads. Like this one is variegated, so it changes throughout the strand. The color will change, it variegates. There's water-soluble thread, and also another thread that looks like this is monofilament, which you might use, like for example, in my needlepoint when I'm finishing. I like the monofilament thread because it's clear and you don't see it. Water-soluble thread you would use in machine embroidery for specialty projects. Last thing we're going to talk about is thread weights. So there's a range of weights. As the number gets smaller, the thread gets heavier. So in general, when you're piecing and quilting, you're probably in a 50 to 60 weight. But there's also 80 and 100 weight that you might use in your bobbin or for hand piecing. There's also 28 weight, which looks great while quilting, and so does 40 if you are machine quilting. And there's 12 and 8 weight. 8 weight you'll probably recognize as like a DMC floss, and it is meant for hand quilting, or as I mentioned, it's a floss. So you might use it in your needlepoint or cross stitch. Now, last thing I'm going to mention is kind of some thread adjacent accessories. First one is thread wax. This happens to be one that my friend makes, but there are lots of different thread waxes out there. Really, really good for when you're hand piecing. It helps the thread glide through your piecing. Excellent product. The other thing that the book mentions is a thread stand, and this is something that I want to spend a couple seconds on. So a thread stand typically is a wood stand that a lot of people like to hang on their wall in their very well lit sewing room. This is horrible for thread. Thread deteriorates just like everything else, and the best way to store your thread is in a cool, dark, temperature-controlled place. It will help improve the longevity of your thread and help it last. But in general, thread has about a 3 to 5 year shelf life. Polyester, maybe ever so slightly more. That is threads from the quilting book. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll see you soon.